by Lupe Rodriguez. The purpose of the study is to see if taking a high school biology course affects a person's beliefs about scientists working for the good of humanity. Let's start with some background on the topic. Darren Fisser from the University of Tennessee Martin found that when students find a major that matches their interests, they will overlook other aspects of the major and possible career paths that would follow. This means if a high school biology teacher were to make a significant impact on their student, sparking their interest with a love of biology and all things of natural science, they may follow a science career path. They may become a scientist, researcher, or maybe they'll branch off into the medical field of some sort. But the point is that they would have a deeper understanding of what scientists do and a deeper respect for the research they conduct. Fisser also found that parents with an agricultural background, for example, most often have an impact in where their students go to college. The same goes for parents with a biology background. They impact their children and other students they interact with. Maybe the student then also wants to follow a biology career path, or maybe they just walk away with a deeper regard for scientists. But the point remains true. Next example, we have the ESRC, or the Economic and Social Research Center, which found that high levels of education are associated with higher social trust, meaning people with bachelor's or master's or doctorate degrees are trusted more because they are supposed to be an expert in their field. We trust that someone with a master's in biology truly knows what they're doing when talking about a topic of biology. The same goes for someone with a master's in history or a master's in art. They are supposed to be an expert in their field because they spent the extra time, and that time where they learn more about their topic, that we should trust them when they are discussing something that they truly now understand. Last piece of background, the Pew Research Center found that 79% of adults say that science has made life easier for most people, and a majority is positive about science's impact on the quality of healthcare, food, and the environment. The Research Center has found that almost 80% of adults believe that scientists do work to better humanity, to make a more positive and safe future for everyone. Now, what about that other 20-ish% that don't agree with the rest of the adults in our society? Well, scientists believe that gap is because of the limited K-12 STEM-linked curriculum in schools. They believe that if this STEM curriculum were expanded in schools and school districts, that perhaps more of our young people and future adults would understand what scientists do and be more understanding when it comes to their work and findings. Now, before I get into the specifics of the study, I should mention that all data comes from the GSS, or the General Social Survey, which is a survey conducted every 2 years to study social trends among the American people. The findings are then made public for researchers across the nation to use. The independent variable for this study is HS Bio, or for the question in verbatim, R ever took a high school biology course? Answer options include 0, IAP, 1, yes, 2, no, 8, don't know, and 9, no answer. The table and graph show the 1,050 participants, or 80%, who responded yes to having taken a high school biology course, and the other 262 participants, or 20%, who responded no. The variable is a dichotomous nominal, which means the central tendency is mode. The mode value for the independent variable is 1, which means most people have taken a high school biology course. The dependent variable for this study is ScienceGo, Or the question in verbatim, scientists work for the good of humanity. Answer options include 0, IAP, 1, strongly agree, 2, agree, 3, disagree, 4, strongly disagree, 8, don't know, and 9, no answer. Again, we have our frequency table and bar chart, which illustrate the 350 participants, or 25.9%, who strongly agree with the statement, 880 participants, or 65%, who agree, 107 participants, or 7.9%, who disagree, and the 16 participants, or 1.2%, who strongly disagree. This variable is an ordinal variable, meaning the central tendency is median. The median value is 2, meaning most people agree that scientists work for the good of humanity. Now let's move on to the findings with the crosstab. The crosstab does not reveal any obvious patterns, but we should still take note of the percentages within our ever took a high school biology course. We have strongly agree are 24.5% yes and 33.3% no. Agree responses are 65.6% yes and 60.7% no. Disagree responses are 8.9% yes and 4.4% no, and strongly disagree responses are 1% yes and 1.6% no. Next, we have our significance test. In order to see if there's a correlation between the two variables, a significance test in the form of a chi-square was conducted. Our null hypothesis was taking a high school biology course will not affect a person's beliefs about scientists working for the good of humanity. The research hypothesis was taking a high school biology course will affect a person's beliefs about scientists working for the good of humanity. We used a significance level of 0.05, and the chi-square test gave a p-value of 0.005. The p-value of 0.005 is less than the significance level of 0.05, meaning the null hypothesis is rejected. In terms of the project, this value suggests that there is enough statistical evidence to say that taking a high school biology course affects a person's beliefs about scientists. Next, we have the measure of association. Since the independent variable, HS-bio, is dichotomous nominal, and the dependent variable, signed go, is an ordinal variable, we used a gamma test. A gamma test reports a value between +1 and -1 that serves as a quantitative representation of how closely the variables are related. The test gave a value of -0.209, which implies a moderately strong relationship with a negative association. The value also reveals that our ability to predict beliefs about scientists working for the good of humanity between two respondents improves by about 20% if it is known whether they have taken a high school biology course. And now the conclusions. This research topic was chosen out of personal interest and as a result has a relatively small body of literature about the topic. The sources mentioned in the background applied to the variables independently and did not discuss the two variables in relation to one another. That being said, the moderate association proves that taking a high school biology course has some effect on a person's beliefs about scientists. In regards to some relevant literature about this topic, let's take Dolan and Luketic, for example, who found that a science lab, typically biology, plays an important role in a student's interest in science and ability to use equipment. By sparking interest in science and completing courses, students had a more favorable perception of all aspects of their learning environment. If students carry this favorable perception throughout their lives, it seems logical that they would have a more favorable view of scientists and their work. Now, perhaps the high school biology course does not leave that much of an impression on students as they grow into adults, but you can't deny that taking a high school biology course does have some effect on their view of scientists. In the future, other variables that may show a stronger relationship with a person's view on scientists could be studied, and perhaps studied with the high school biology variable to see how much of a person's thinking depends on past experiences and maybe future experiences, or perhaps things they've heard on the news, to see what comes together to make this image of scientists and their work. Here are the references for this presentation, and thank you for watching.